gross.
I'm not trying to be controversial. I have done the research.
This can't be what we talk about tonight.
18 to 24.
You know, they used to be my favorite number range. It's the age window I like to have sex at.
Gross.
It takes 18 to 24 domestic cats or dogs to make a standard size fur coat. Who quoted Cruella de Vil at 99 dogs for a single coat? Get a new coat guy, bruh.
That's a kid's movie. I doubt anyone dug into how many...
Is this about 101 Dalmatians? Cruella wasn't trying to make a single coat. She wanted to wait for the puppies to grow up to full age so she had more fur for more coats, but she felt the police closing in on her, so she ordered Horace and Jasper to murder and skin the puppies, settling for what she estimated to be about half a dozen coats. Her estimation was off a little bit, but still, end of the day, net, that's all profit because she didn't have to pay for the puppies because she stole the puppies. Get a different research guy, bruh.
Gross.
Gross. But that does remind me. Aside from the fact that Dan and Katie have clearly both independently been researching 101 Dalmatians and how much puppy fur it takes to make a coat, there are some weird things happening in the Dalmatians universe.
The fact that dogs can talk.
The fact that Anita and Cruella are supposed to be schoolmates, even though Anita is a regular age person and Cruella is obviously a 1,000-year-old mantis.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. I want to talk specifically about what the movie is saying to kids. Anita and Cruella both went to the same school and had similar opportunities, but Cruella became rich because apparently owning fur in that world makes you wealthy. Meanwhile, Roger is a failed songwriter throughout most of the movie.
Roger's songs!
Even when it's just the two of them and the two dogs, they are poor as shit. And then they get 15 puppies, and they even have a conversation about how they don't know how they're gonna deal with the added expense. But then Cruella saunters onto the scene, and she can solve all of their problems, right? She offers to write a check for literally any amount of money to take those dogs off their hands.
But she's bad, Soren. She's got cruel right in the name.
Yeah, and we know that.
And devil.
Yeah, we know that now. But that's such a bizarre lesson to give to kids. Anita and Roger take on the added responsibility of 15 dogs, and they can barely afford to feed themselves.
You can't possibly afford to keep them. You can scarcely afford to feed yourselves.
And they win. And then at the end of the movie, they take on even more dogs. And they still get a happily ever after.
I'm sure we'll get along.
What kind of lesson is that for children?
Apart from don't trust people named Cruel, a devil.
101 Dalmatians teaches kids to ignore their fiduciary responsibilities. I'm not saying the dog should have been skinned.
Aww.
I'm just saying that the movie should have rewarded the parents for more than just blind luck. It's training an entire generation to believe that eventually their problems will just solve themselves. Cruella didn't luck into her fortune. She worked hard and made sound investments, but the movie is very adamant that that is the wrong approach.
And you think that's the worst lesson that children's movies teach us?
Well, your tone suggests that maybe you have something that trumps that, so I refuse to say yes. More points for Soren.
Kids' movies have been literally shitting on step-parents for years.
I think you mean figuratively. Hope?
And I think you're talking about evil stepmothers.
That's the only kind we get. Cinderella, Enchanted, Snow White. The antagonists are all indisputably evil stepmothers. Can anybody name one famous children's movie with an evil stepdad?
I can't. That either means that one doesn't exist or my brain is too full of memories of my rich and active social life to make room for trivia.
It's probably the first one.
Disney has taught generations of children that stepmothers are inherently evil. Any movie that has a stepdad in it, any movie, always has a scene at the beginning where the kid's like, "You're not my real dad." And then a scene at the end where he's like, "You know what? I love you, real dad." But if it's a stepmom, the movie usually ends with, "Boy, I'm glad she's dead."
Yeah, well, the stepmothers sometimes end up being dragon monsters, so that feels like a good lesson.
But why shit on step-parents at all? We are living in a world with an increasing number of step families, and to begin with, we should be celebrating the idea of step families. You know, it's not easy to just slide into a pre-existing family with its own emotional baggage. It is hard and brave. And every stepmom faces an uphill climb as new mom.
But see, that's why it's a good lesson, right? It's preparing future stepmoms for the tough road ahead. It's saying, hey, if you're gonna choose to be a step-parent, it's probably gonna be really hard.
All the more reason to soften the blow. No, give us some examples of things working out. I mean, name me one movie about a stepmom where at the end everything is all right for the stepmom.
Stepmom.
All right, I heard it as soon as it came out of my mouth. Fine, but I stand by it. The point of this was to point out harsh lessons in children's movies, not wrong ones. I just think it's weird that we're teaching kids that being a stepmom is a tough road.
But not the toughest. The lessons contained in Looney Tunes are way worse than all of this. I'm sure we all have our favorite Looney Tunes characters.
Daffy.
Marvin the Martian.
Me, watching the show when I was a kid.
Wile E. Coyote, but that's not important. Even if we all have our favorites, Bugs Bunny is the show's protagonist. He is the face of the franchise. He's the star who always comes out on top. He is Looney Tunes' version of a winner.
My version of a winner, too.
He's the guy.
Because he wins.
Okay, but what are his skills? He's not a hard worker. He's not a thinker. He is just, from jump, the best, with all the vagueness that implies. All of the winners in Looney Tunes are.
That's right. I mean, we never see the good guys work hard, and yet they always come out ahead. Sylvester is always planning these elaborate schemes and traps for Tweety, and then they always magically backfire.
Elmer Fudd plays by the rules, follows the frankly simplistic hunting laws, and he still loses.
Wile E. Coyote is a super genius. He spends all this time building and working hard and innovating just to catch Roadrunner to eat, to fulfill a basic instinctual need, but he still loses. Every Coyote vs. Roadrunner cartoon features two things. Coyote working elaborately and deliberately on some plan, and that thing he did backfiring. So what's the lesson there? Don't work hard? Don't go after the thing you want? Don't try?
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I mean, all the Looney Tunes winners, Roadrunner, Bugs, Speedy, they're just inherently lucky. And the antagonists, Sylvester and Fudd, they're just dummies we're supposed to laugh at. Plus, they all got speech impediments. Looney Tunes is like a cyberbully, but real.
No, it teaches kids that no matter how hard you try it, there's still the chance that you'll be up against somebody who is just naturally better than you. That's real life. You can try all you want, but you still might lose. History is bloated with examples of people who tried really, really hard and then lost out to somebody more magnetic.
I know it's real. Do we actually need a show that teaches kids that?
Yeah, the Hunger Games, Harry Potter, Star Wars, all the major franchises are built around telling kids, hey, you want to hear a secret? You are the one. You are the most special and important person in the universe.
You know, I know he's just making a point, but when he says it like that, I really feel special.
Movies tell kids that they're just magically gifted, but the Looney Tunes, they teach kids about the real world, and the real world is not always fair. You're not special. You're not the one. You can work hard and still lose. And that...
That's all,
Marvin the Martian, really?
I like his tiny hat and his nothing face.
I thought it was a really sharp move that they made him the referee in Space Jam. Because he's a Looney Tune, but he's also from outer space, so he's got ties to both sides of this basketball game, so you can trust that he's going to be impartial. It's subtle, but it's sharp.
How did he end up with a Spartan helmet in the first place?
I think he can sort of observe Earth and pick and choose the fashion things that he likes.
And he picked metal kilt and Roman centurion helmet.
I'm assuming he...
high tops.
And high tops.
I'm
that's
assuming
right.
he knows something that we don't. Are we talking about 101 Dalmatians? Cruella didn't want to make a single quote.
And they still get the happily ever after. Why would you teach kids that? Anita and Leonard? No,
Yeah.
I know, okay. And I'm not saying that the dogs should have been skinned.
Yay!
I'm just saying the movie should have
Wait, I think I was ready.
Okay.
Do we really need a show that teaches kids that?
Yes!
You're still finding it. You're still finding it.